You can or won't answer questions about whether or not the federal government funds sex change surgery on kids. Some on the left are calling that gender-affirming care. Quite frankly, it's worse than that. There's no scientific data to support it. And just because someone doesn't agree with chopping off the private parts of a 15-year-old doesn't mean we are bullying children. I find it ridiculous. Do whatever you want to do as an adult, but by God, don't do it to our kids. And I find it offensive that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are calling us bullies because we don't want to chop off the breasts of a 15-year-old girl, and we certainly don't want the federal government funding it.
That was South Carolina Republican Nancy Mace, easily winning the award for Straw Man Argument of the Week. Mace and her GOP colleagues are once again rolling out their culture war handbook in yet another disgusting attack on trans kids. But House Democrats were having none of it.
I think it's a deliberate attack on this community. It's not just in this committee, it's in the Budget Committee, it's in appropriations, it's in floor speeches. It is a concerted strategy by the Republican majority to scapegoat this community. And they're just being, in my opinion, bullies, right? You're picking a fight literally with one of the most marginalized, one of the most discriminated groups in our country. That's who they're picking a fight with.
And California's Jimmy Gomez is right. This looks like a concerted strategy because it is a concerted strategy. As the 2024 presidential campaign looms ahead, Republicans are going all out in their efforts to make transgender kids and wokeness the defining issues of the race. Remember, these are the same Republicans who call trying to protect Social Security and Medicaid a culture war. Now Republicans across the country are hoping the constant bullying of trans kids will keep your eye off the fact that they've done nothing in Congress. Nancy Mace's language was offensive and frankly incorrect. And let's be clear, Nancy Mace knows better. But hey, let's dismantle her stupid arguments anyway. Nancy Mace's language frames this like a crusade, one meant to protect children from undergoing irreversible surgeries and hormone treatments. Republicans often cite children as young as 12 being put at risk. Here, Mace is using the example of a 15-year-old girl. There's just one problem. 12 to 15-year-olds can't actually start hormone treatments or get transition surgery. According to the American Congress of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the experts on this stuff, the minimum age is 16 with parental consent. And even then, most trans kids won't begin hormone therapy until adulthood. So if kids can't make that choice, and doctors can't make that choice, and their parents can't make that choice, who can? Mace goes out of her way to make this all sound barbaric, because you should recoil at language like chopping the breasts off a 15-year-old girl.
Chopping off the private parts of a 15-year-old doesn't mean we are bullying children.
And Republicans know that the way to get Americans to oppose transgender care is by getting them to not think of it as real medicine. And Mace is actually pretty tame. Isn't that sad? Over at the right-wing outrage mill The Daily Wire, conservative weirdo Matt Walsh has an even more threatening message for trans kids. Listen to this.
But I want you, if you're in that group, I want you to listen to this part very closely. Please always remember this. You started it. You started it. So I see you on social media and on the news and out marching the street, crying your crocodile tears and claiming that you're being set upon by fascist right-wingers who won't let you just live your lives in peace. What did we ever do to you, you cry? Why are you so angry at us?
It's not a great sign that Walsh is resorting to the you started it rules of kindergarten playgrounds to make the big intellectual point he thinks he's making. But as it turns out, Walsh and Republicans are mainly angry because, well, see for yourself.
You see, the rest of us were living our lives. We were minding our own business when you came along and demanded that we abandon everything we know about fundamental physical reality for your sake. That's what you did. You claim the right to walk into whatever bathroom you want, whatever locker room, whatever sports team. Nobody else has ever had that right. Nobody else has ever had that right to just do whatever they want, go anywhere they want. But you wanted it.
Yeah, after all that ranting, it's literally just a racial segregation argument repackaged to harass trans kids. Though Matt Walsh isn't giving those kids enough credit, I guess. Apparently all the trans kids he's met are also carrying advanced degrees in philosophy. Or, he's just making it up.
You came after our children, seeking to suck them into your suicide cult just to make yourselves feel better. You tried to restructure human society to make it affirming to you personally. You wanted to force the whole world to bend to your narcissism. You tried to put words in our mouths. You tried to control how we speak, even when you're not in the room. Your ego is so out of control that you even tried to take possession of parts of the English language, like you can own them.
And now we're just repackaging the far right's anti-Jewish rhetoric to apply to, and remember this, trans children. You know, those preteens who apparently run the world and have captured control of the English language from the right. Can you actually believe any of this? Democrats are wrong to back away from social issues ahead of the 2024 election. After all, Republicans sure aren't. This kind of unilateral disarmament gives right-wing nutjobs free rein to set the national conversation about trans rights, and their stated goal is to knock these young kids down a peg. They couldn't be any clearer. Trans kids remain one of the most vulnerable groups in America, in terms of everything from bullying and assault to suicide and murder. Republicans want them to just disappear. By staying quiet, national Democrats are just making that disgusting task easier. And speaking of upsetting things, Kenosha killer Kyle Rittenhouse is back on TV, and he's wondering if you can spare a few bucks. Check out this video to learn how crybaby Kyle got himself into this mess.